My parents disowned me 9 years ago because of my older sister Destiny's accusations. She claimed I'd been flirting shamelessly and trying to seduce her boyfriend Hunter. They believed her without question, got furious, and kicked me out of the house that same night. The truth. It was the complete opposite. I'm Evelyn Harper. I grew up in a middle-class family in the suburbs of Cincinnati, Ohio. Destiny, 3 years older, was always the golden child, the one our parents bragged about to everyone. Straight A's, popular, the perfect daughter in their eyes. Me, I was just the quieter one trying to stay out of trouble and pay my own way through college with part-time jobs. They didn't even ask for proof that night, because they never really believed me to begin with. Destiny's word was always enough. One heated confrontation in the kitchen, voices raised, doors slamming, and suddenly, I was packing a bag in the dark while they stood there stone-faced. No discussion, no second chance. Just get out. 9 years of silence followed. I rebuilt everything from nothing. And then, out of nowhere, they started inviting me back, especially for a big New Year's family gathering. They said they missed me that time heals everything. But I soon found out the real reason. If you want to know how I turned my life around, what really happened back then, and why they suddenly want me in the family photos again, hit that subscribe button and stick around, because this story gets wild. Let me take you back to what life was like in our family in Cincinnati before everything exploded. We lived in a comfortable middle-class neighborhood on the outskirts of the city, the kind with tree-lined streets, kids riding bikes in summer, and block parties when the weather turned nice. Dad worked as an IT manager for a manufacturing company downtown, steady job with good benefits, always talking about retirement plans and 401k matches. Mom taught high school English, loved assigning books and grading papers at the kitchen table, organized the neighborhood book club every month. Our house had a big backyard where Dad fired up the grill for burgers and brats on weekends, smoke drifting while neighbors chatted over fences. Holidays meant big gatherings. Mom's homemade Cincinnati-style chili for New Year's, Dad's stories about the Bengals or Reds games. Destiny arrived 3 years before me, and from early on she knew how to draw eyes. Bright smile, quick wit, teachers calling her a natural leader. She joined cheer in middle school, made varsity by freshman year, always in the middle of group photos. Parents beamed at her report cards, her trophies from spirit competitions, her stories about friends and parties. She thrived on attention, turning ordinary events into tales, where she came out shining, sometimes stretching details if it made the story better. If something went wrong, she'd frame it so she looked like the victim or the hero. I was different. Quieter, preferred books to crowds, helped with chores without being asked. My grades were good but not stand out like hers. I joined yearbook committee instead of sports, saved allowance for my own stuff early. I learned to step back when Destiny wanted the spotlight, figuring it kept peace. The favoritism showed in everyday ways that built up over time. One afternoon when Destiny was 16, she borrowed my laptop for a school project without asking, spilled soda on the keyboard, fried the whole thing. I came home to find it ruined on the counter. When I told Mom and Dad, they sighed and said I should have kept it in my room if I didn't want anyone using it, that sharing was important in a family. Destiny got a mild "be careful next time" and a new one for her birthday a month later. I worked extra shifts at a local ice cream shop to replace mine, scraping together cash from tips, while Destiny posted photos of her new setup online. Another time, as I started picking up evening shifts at a coffee shop near campus to cover books and gas. Mom waited up the first night I got home after 11. She didn't raise her voice, just said, "Good girls didn't stay out that late," that people talked, and it wasn't the image she wanted for her daughter. Meanwhile, Destiny at 19 came in at 2 or 3 some weekends after parties, or hanging with friends, music still thumping from her car. Dad would laugh it off, call her social and fun, say, "That's how you make connections that last." Mom agreed, adding how proud she was of Destiny's popularity. The pattern went deeper with how stories got told. In high school, Destiny came home crying one day, telling mom and dad a group of girls had spread rumors about her, left her out of plans, made her feel terrible. Parents comforted her for hours, talked about fair weather friends, even called one girl's mom to complain. Weeks later, I overheard a mutual friend say Destiny had started the rumor herself to push out a rival for a cheer spot, then played victim when it backfired and the group turned on her. I never brought it up at home. Confronting her would only make me the bad guy for stirring trouble, and parents would side with her tears. I kept my head down, worked part-time jobs through college, took practical classes in business admin. Destiny changed majors twice, partied hard, but parents called it exploring passions. She dated around always guys who boosted her status stories about them filling dinner conversations. By 26, she'd settled with Hunter, charming sales rep type, good at smooth talk, but spotty with follow-through on promises, always late, or forgetting plans. Destiny called him exciting, parents liked his confidence. At 23, I had a steady part-time gig coordinating events at a local venue, paying bills, feeling independent. Destiny and Hunter seemed serious, talking engagement maybe. Everything looked normal on the surface. Family dinners still happening, conversations flowing. One evening, after coming home early from a study group, I walked into something that turned my world upside down. My phone buzzed repeatedly in my bag as I climbed the stairs to my apartment. I pulled it out expecting a group chat from classmates about notes or weekend plans. Instead, it was a string of messages from Hunter. He'd started with casual, "Hey, how's your day?" stuff a week earlier, but this time it escalated fast. Compliments on my looks from a family photo Destiny had posted online, suggestions we grab coffee, just to chat away from everyone, hints he thought I was more fun than people gave me credit for, even a winking emoji after saying he'd always noticed me at gatherings. The tone was unmistakably flirty, crossing every line a sister's boyfriend should respect. I felt uncomfortable immediately, a knot forming in my stomach. Hunter and Destiny had been together over a year, talking about moving in future plans. I screenshotted everything right away, replied politely but firmly that I wasn't interested, that it wasn't appropriate, and he should stop. Then I forwarded the full shots to Destiny, with a message explaining exactly what happened, adding that I wanted her to know first from me, because I had nothing to hide and valued transparency. Destiny called right away, voice shaking. She thanked me for telling her, said she couldn't believe it that she'd confront Hunter immediately. For a moment I thought that would end it cleanly. Hunter would back off. Destiny would handle it. Family stays intact. But the next day, things shifted in a way I never saw coming. Destiny texted saying Hunter denied everything when she asked, claimed I'd misinterpreted friendly messages, that I'd been sending signals first at family events, smiling too much, standing too close. I double-checked my phone history. My replies had always been neutral or redirecting to group stuff with Destiny included. Nothing encouraging, nothing ambiguous. Hunter was twisting it completely. By evening, Destiny's tone changed entirely. She accused me of twisting facts to cause drama, said I'd always been jealous of her relationships, and this was my way of sabotaging hers. I tried calling to clear it up, explain the screenshots again, but she hung up after saying I was lying to cover my tracks. Then the family group chat lit up with a long message from her detailing how I'd been flirting with Hunter behind her back for weeks, sending suggestive texts trying to steal him because I couldn't stand seeing her happy with someone good. She attached edited screenshots, cropped to remove context, timestamps altered slightly, making it look like I initiated. Mom reacted first with shocked emojis and a message saying this explained Destiny's mood lately. Dad wrote he was deeply disappointed that this wasn't how he raised us to treat each other. I typed explanations, frantically posted full unedited screenshots showing Hunter starting every thread and me shutting it down. But Destiny responded instantly with more accusations. That I'd deleted parts, faked the full versions, anything to make her look bad and play victim. Hunter chimed in from his phone, backing her story, fully saying I'd misread friendliness and overreacted when he was just being nice. The confrontation moved to the house that night. I drove over thinking a face-to-face would sort it, that seeing the phone in person would prove it. Everyone was in the living room when I arrived, Mom on the couch looking teary, Dad pacing with arms crossed, Destiny sitting with red eyes like she'd been crying for hours. Hunter wasn't there, conveniently absent. I started calm, laid out the timeline again, held up my phone for them to scroll through themselves. Dad interrupted, early voice raised, saying, Destiny wouldn't lie about something this serious, that she'd been devastated all day and they believed her. Mom added through tears. She couldn't believe I'd be so envious of my own sister, that it broke her heart to see me act this way. When I pointed out the full messages proved Hunter initiated everything, Destiny burst into fresh tears, saying I was gaslighting her, making her doubt her own relationship, that I'd always wanted what she had. Dad told me to stop attacking her, that I needed to own my part in escalating this. I asked why no one was questioning Hunter's role at all. Mom said boys sometimes flirt without meaning harm, but sisters shouldn't encourage or exaggerate it. Destiny nodded, adding I'd been too available, lingering in conversations with him at family events, giving wrong signals. The room turned against me fast, voices overlapping, accusations piling on without pause. Dad finally raised his hand for silence and said this destructive behavior couldn't continue under their roof, that I had to leave tonight, because they wouldn't tolerate jealousy tearing the family apart. I stood there stunned, asking if they were serious about kicking me out over something I could prove didn't happen my way. Mom cried harder, saying she never thought I'd turn out this jealous and manipulative. Destiny stayed quiet now, eyes down like the injured party. I asked for a real chance to show the phone evidence again. Dad shook his head, said Destiny's word and tears were enough, that my edited screenshots looked suspicious anyway. The air felt thick with finality, conversations ending when I tried to speak. Dad repeated I had until morning to pack essentials, that they'd box the rest later if needed. No room for discussion, no hearing my side fully. The house lights stayed harsh as I went to my room, pulled out duffels from the closet, filled them with clothes, folded quickly, laptop and charger, important papers from the drawer, hands steady from shock more than calm. Downstairs, voices murmured lower, Destiny's softer now, parents comforting her with words I couldn't make out. I carried bags to my car in quiet trips, porch light on, but nobody offering help or even a glance. The door closed firm behind my last load lock, clicking like punctuation. That same night, I ended up crashing at my friend Riley's small apartment downtown. Riley had been a friend from community college classes, someone who got my dry humor and never pushed for details I wasn't ready to share. She opened the door in pajamas, took one look at my face, and the bag stepped aside without questions. Her place was a cramped one-bedroom in an old building near the river, living room, barely fitting a pull-out sofa and coffee table. She handed me clean sheets and a pillow, said, "Take as long as needed," then went to bed. I unfolded the sofa, lay there staring at the ceiling fan spinning slow, mind blank from exhaustion. Morning routine started early to stay out of the way. I'd wake before Riley's alarm, fold the bedding neat, stack my duffel in the corner, wipe down the bathroom after a quick shower. She worked retail downtown, left around 8, so overlap was minimal. As soon as I had cash from tips, I contributed. Groceries first, then half the electric bill when it came. Riley waved it off initially, but I insisted. Owing anyone felt worse than the lumpy mattress. Shifts at the venue, event coordinating, turned into my lifeline. I took every available date, stayed late for cleanup if it meant overtime, smiled through tired eyes for better assignments. Tips varied, but I counted them carefully each night. Sorted bills, rolled coins, split between immediate needs and savings for a deposit somewhere. Food became calculated: bulk rice and beans from discount stores, eggs when on sale, bread from day-old racks. Breakfast was toast or oatmeal, lunch, a packed wrap dinner, sometimes skipped if the day ran long. The first full phone bill arriving in my name hit about 3 weeks in. No more family plan covering most of it. I transferred from my checking account, watched the payment confirm, felt a strange pride mixed with worry. Proof I could handle it alone, but also reminder there was no backup if money ran short. Grocery runs followed the same pattern, push a small cart through aisles focusing on basics. Canned tuna pasta, frozen veggies, marked down, nothing extra. At checkout, the total stayed manageable, card swipe, successful with funds I earned myself. Carrying bags up 3 flights to Riley's place became routine victory. One rainy afternoon, after a double shift, legs heavy, I parked outside and scrolled contacts. Mom's name sat there, photo from better times. Thumb hovered over call, imagining unloading everything. The hurt, the confusion, maybe hearing concern or invitation back. But flashes of the living room confrontation stopped me. Cold voices, overlapping evidence, dismissed Destiny's tears, winning. I locked the screen, grabbed my bag, headed inside. Riley was home early that day making tea. She glanced over as I dropped keys on the counter. "You don't sound like someone who did something wrong," she said, quiet, handing me a mug. "You sound like someone who got scapegoated." The words landed simple, no drama, but they stuck. First time anyone verbalized it plain. Rumors trickled in slow. A former neighbor messaged asking if I'd really moved out over some fight. A cousin I hadn't spoken to in years texted wondering why I missed a family birthday. I kept responses vague, changed subjects quick. Work stayed steady, managers relying on me more for reliability. To avoid idle hours, replaying everything I researched, education options on breaks, affordable online courses from the local community college, flexible scheduling around shifts. One evening, after covering another bill solo, I opened sites, compared programs, bookmarked a few in business management that transferred credits easy. Around 8 months later, a conversation at my new part-time job opened my eyes to a pattern. The pieces didn't come in one dramatic revelation. They accumulated quietly over several weeks from unrelated sources that suddenly clicked together. I'd kept the event coordinating gig while searching for something more stable, and the consistency paid off. Managers trusted me with bigger responsibilities, handling vendor contracts, training seasonal staff, resolving last-minute issues during events. After nearly a year, they made me full supervisor, higher pay, benefits, authority over shifts. The role demanded organization and calm under pressure, skills I'd honed just to keep my own life running. That position lasted close to a year, giving me solid experience managing teams and budgets. When an administrative opening appeared at a logistics firm in the city, I updated my resume with those details and applied. The process stretched. Initial screening, 2 rounds of interviews spread over a month, reference calls. Getting the acceptance felt like crossing a threshold, regular daytime hours, salary instead of variable tips, paid time off. The new office was professional cubicles and conference rooms, coffee machine always brewing. Colleagues kept interactions work-focused at first. One lunch break, my coworker Chris sat down with his sandwich. We'd chatted before about deadlines or printer jams. This time, talk turned to local high schools. When I mentioned mine, he paused. "Wait. Harper. Any relation to Destiny Harper?" I nodded carefully. Chris said he'd known her through mutual friends, remembered her as someone who could twist situations to stay the good one, making others look bad if it kept her image clean. He shrugged, said it wasn't malicious exactly, just habitual. The comment lingered. A few weeks later, I stopped by the old venue to pick up a final paycheck. A longtime regular spotted me, waved me over after his meal. He'd been coming for years, knew the family casually from community stuff. "Your sister used to show up here sometimes," he mentioned, casual. "Not to eat. Just ask about schedules when certain people worked, then leave." Seemed odd at the time. He didn't elaborate, changed topic to the red season. Another small piece. Those separate comments connected in my head over days. Destiny hadn't just reacted that night to protect her relationship. She'd needed to keep her role as the responsible victim-free sister. Any threat to that, like Hunter's interest shifting or me potentially looking better, had to be neutralized by making me the problem. The realization settled heavy. It wasn't random anger, it was fear of losing the family narrative where she stayed perfect. I poured the insight into work instead of dwelling. The admin role grew on me, coordinating routes across regions, negotiating vendor rates, streamlining reports that saved the team hours. Recognition came gradual. Mentions in meetings, reliance on my updates for decisions. Sawyer appeared through routine deliveries. His company handled our bulk shipments, so he stopped by the loading dock several times a week. Interactions started practical, signing forms, verifying counts. Over weeks, pauses lengthened, comments on traffic along I-71, questions about weekend plans, shared laughs over quirky client requests. He had a steady presence, noticing when I'd had a rough day without prying. Friendship built first. Group lunches when routes aligned, texts, swapping recommendations for local spots. Best skyline, chilly hidden trails in Mount Airy Forest. Only after a couple months did it shift. He asked if I'd like dinner, just us, no work talk. Dates stayed relaxed, patios in over-the-Rhine Reds games, with cheap seats, drives along the river when weather allowed. Conversation flowed easy. Careers, travel wishes, favorite podcasts. Sharing my past came slower. When I finally outlined the family fallout, Sawyer listened without interruption, then said it sounded like they'd failed me when I needed support most. No doubt, no, but family lectures. His family entered the picture organically. Walter and Sandra hosted frequent Sunday meals. Chili with cinnamon and chocolate, the Cincinnati way cornbread, fresh from the oven, beer from local breweries. The first invite came casual after Sawyer mentioned I liked home-cooked. Sandra greeted with a hug, asked preferences, kept my plate full. Walter shared stories from his factory days, drew parallels to logistics challenges. Colt showed up midway, hands dirty from wrenching on his truck. Teased Sawyer about strikeouts, included me in debates over Bengals prospects. Those Sundays multiplied. Sandra texted recipes midweek, checked if I needed anything during busy seasons. Walter offered tips when my car needed maintenance, even tuned it up one afternoon. Colt pulled us into pickup basketball or game nights with cards and trash talk. Their welcome felt earned, not forced. Questions about my project's celebration over promotion space when I needed quiet. For the first time, family meant people choosing to show up consistently. Sawyer and I deepened through shared routines. Morning coffee runs, evening walks downtown, planning small getaways to Hocking Hills. His steadiness balanced my guarded spots, building trust layer by layer. 9 years passed. I was 32, engaged to Sawyer, and living a life I was proud of. Sawyer proposed one quiet evening by the Ohio River, city lights shimmering on the water as we walked after dinner. He stopped near a bench, pulled out a simple band he'd chosen with care, got down on one knee without fanfare. I said yes. Before he finished the question, tears mixing with laughter. We kept it private for a week, just us, before telling Walter and Sandra over Sunday chili. They hugged tight, Sandra already planning details, Walter toasting with local beer. Planning the New Year's Eve party came next. Small, meaningful, at their house with the big backyard, perfect for lights and a fire pit. Guest list stayed intimate. Sawyer's relatives, my close work friends, a few couples we'd grown tight with. Local caterer for Cincinnati favorites, Gouda sliders, skyline dip desserts with Buckeyes candy. Invites went digital, replies rolling in excited. Then the contact started. A friend request appeared on social media from Dad, profile updated with recent vacation photos, looking relaxed. I stared at it for days, finger hovering over accept or decline. Curiosity edged out caution. I accepted. No immediate follow-up. A week later, a message arrived, long paragraph starting with how time flies, saying they'd thought about me often, lately realized some decisions years ago were too harsh in hindsight. Heard through old neighborhood connections I was engaged. Heartfelt congratulations. suggested meeting for coffee, soon catching up as adults. I read it several times, searching for more depth. No specific regret named, just vague harsh. Shared with Sawyer that night over takeout. He scanned it, set the phone down, said the timing stood out sharp. Years of nothing then, engagement news circulates and reflection begins overnight. Mom messaged soon after, warmer tone heavy on emotion. Lots of miss my girl every day and life being short at their age. She emphasized not wanting to miss big family moments like this one, that a wedding season could heal old wounds, bring everyone together again. Destiny's note came separate, brief, and careful. Congrats on the engagement. Things were messy back then. I was going through a lot and didn't handle it right. Hope you're doing well. No direct mention of lies or specific damage, just messy and personal struggle, excusing everything like shared blame. The invitations escalated gradually. Dad followed up, asking about party details, saying it would mean everything to be there for such a milestone, to see me happy. Mom sent old photos, holidays, birthdays, noting empty chairs and how family completes the picture. Destiny added she'd grown a ton, understood better, now wanted to celebrate with me in person. The pattern emerged clear through the stream. No message admitted wrongdoing outright. No, we sided against you unfairly. No, we failed to listen. Just, we're family. Repeated like it erased history. Don't miss moments like absence hadn't been deliberate choice. The push centered on inclusion now, when pictures and memories mattered again, when a new chapter looked good from outside. Then the real reason surfaced, gradual, layered in later messages. Mom mentioned Destiny's health struggles lately, ongoing tests and treatments wearing her down. Dad's next note said they'd all been tested for compatibility recently, hoping for positive news soon. Destiny wrote about feeling weak. More days, doctors recommending transplant if things progressed. Pieces connected, slow but sure, leukemia diagnosis, bone marrow needed urgently, sibling match, highest probability. And I was the closest genetically, the one most likely to save her. The earlier realization hit harder in light of this. Destiny always positioned herself to need rescue, keeping the family focused on saving her role as the fragile one. Parents' fear wasn't losing me years ago. It was potentially losing her, now their preferred child. Their outreach wasn't remorse for past wrongs. It was desperation for my body to save their favorite daughter. I wrestled with it alone, first emotions swinging wide, old hurt resurfacing, raw questions if time truly changed people, if blood pulled stronger than pain. Shared with Sawyer one night on the couch, phone open to the latest batch. He held my hand firm, said whatever I chose he'd stand by, but reminded me they'd had chances to reach out when roles reversed and didn't take one. Sandra overheard part. Next visit, pulled me for tea in the kitchen. She spoke gentle but direct, said protect the peace earned with effort, that real regret shows up early, not when needed most. Walter added practical view over coffee later. Medical decisions huge, no obligation after abandonment, health risks real. Colt kept it light but firm during a game break. You built this without them. Don't let guilt undo it. The messages grew insistent, still avoiding direct ask, waiting for in-person pressure at the party perhaps. But the subtext screamed clear through every family and moments line. New Year's Eve arrived. The party at Walter and Sandra's was everything warm and real. The backyard glowed with string lights draped between trees, a fire pit crackling in the center, throwing sparks into the cold Ohio night. Tables held platters of local favorites, Cincinnati chili over spaghetti goetta, crisped on the grill, cornbread muffins, still steaming trays of Buckeye candies for dessert. A playlist of classic rock mixed with current hits played from speakers on the deck, volume perfect for mingling. Guests bundled in coats and scarves moved between heaters, laughing over stories, glasses clinking with craft beer or hot cider. Sawyer and I circulated together most of the evening, hands linked, accepting hugs from his aunts and uncles, toasts from co-workers who'd become friends. Colt emceed an impromptu roast poking fun at Sawyer's attempts at grilling, drawing big laughs. Sandra made rounds, ensuring everyone had food eyes shiny when she pulled me aside for a quick squeeze. Walter stood by the fire telling tales from his days in manufacturing, voice carrying easy over the crowd. Riley showed up with her partner, gave me a knowing grin across the yard. Chris arrived late from a shift, dove right into conversations like he belonged. The countdown built natural. Someone started a chant at 11:50, phones out for the ball drop stream on the outdoor screen. Sawyer kissed me at midnight amid cheers and noisemakers, Colt firing safe poppers into the air. Fireworks from neighbors lit the sky, distant reflecting off low clouds. Moments felt earned, surrounded by people who'd shown up through promotions, moves, hard days without condition. Near 1 a.m., as guests thinned and embers glowed low, my phone vibrated in my coat pocket. I stepped to the quieter side patio to check. A long message from Dad, timestamped just after midnight. He wrote about seeing party photos friends posted online. Me laughing by the fire, Sawyer's arm around me. Said I looked truly happy, that it warmed their hearts. Then turned to reflection after much family discussion. Destiny admitted exaggerating things years ago during a confused time. They'd been too quick to take her side without full picture, a parenting mistake they regretted deeply. With this joyful milestone and future possibilities, grandkids someday perhaps, they hoped to rebuild bridges, be part of celebrations again. Love from him, Mom Destiny. The words exaggerating and parenting mistake landed hollow, minimizing to excuse. The grandkids mention sealed it, future access, not past repair. No real ownership, just enough contrition to request entry. I stood in the chill a minute, breath visible, fire crackling distant. Sawyer noticed, walked over, read over my shoulder. He exhaled slow, hugged me from behind. Your call? He murmured, but that reads like leverage, not change. I typed back, calm, thanked for message and well wishes noted. Destiny's admission must have been hard. Said after 9 years crafting a life filled with consistent support, I'd chosen peace that didn't require reliving old pain or risking health for those who hadn't earned trust back. Wished them well, asked no further contact. Sent blocked numbers, deleted threads. Phone away, I rejoined the remaining group by the fire. Colt handed me a fresh cider, Sandra linked arms, walking inside later. No explanation needed. They understood from looks. The night wound down gentle. Clean up together, goodbyes lingering, drive home with Sawyer, quiet but close. Months later, news reached indirect. Destiny's treatment stretched longer without ideal match complications, setting back progress, hospital stays frequent. Parents withdrew from usual circles, fewer church events, neighborhood gatherings, skipped excuses vague when asked. Mutual contacts mentioned awkward questions about family conversations, shifting quick. The cost of long-held favoritism showed gradual isolation, growing bridges burned hard to rebuild. I didn't seek updates. They arrived occasional, neutral. No gloating, felt just quiet acknowledgement of consequences flowing natural from choices made. Looking back now, the takeaway isn't bitterness. Family isn't just who you're born to. It's who chooses to stay when life gets hard and who celebrates with you when it gets good.